Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Bell. Today I'm here with the Brooklawn Middle School staff, Rich, Lauren, and Carly, and we're here to talk about some helpful tips and helpful hints that parents can use when we start school in September. So without any further ado, I'm going to talk to Lauren. Lauren, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, definitely. So welcome to middle school. It's an exciting time. Definitely exciting, big transition, but it's middle school.
Sure is.
It sure is, yes. And actually, we all have kids here as admin, so we've all been through it personally as well. But I would say being prepared for that first day of school is so important. So I know it's hard to put
Being prepared how?
So yeah, I know it's hard to put those video games, away and, not looking at TikTok all night long. But definitely, especially those first few days before school starts, trying to go to bed a little earlier, trying to get ready for your first day.
Building a routine. It's
really important. And then getting that backpack ready and making sure you have everything for the first day.
The backpack ready. Like what is it that they would need for their backpack? That's a good point.
Yeah, good point. So you would need a fully charged Chromebook. You want to make sure that you always have your charged Chromebook.
We're issuing the Chromebook?
We're issuing the Chromebook.
Okay.
We always tell our students to make sure that you put the Chromebook with the charger right next to your backpack so you don't forget it in the morning.
Okay.
So if you keep everything together, it definitely helps to remember everything.
Can we back up a second? For those incoming sixth graders, do they have a Chromebook?
Yes, they do.
They do. Okay.
From elementary school.
If they don't, what would they do?
So then they would just let us know. They could reach out to us, and we'll make sure that they have it the first day or two of school. Can reach out to the main office. We'll get everything squared away.
And any new students that come in will be issued
they'll be issued a Chromebook. Okay. Absolutely. Great. Yes. So you'll have everything you need that first day or the day or two into school.
Okay, so you're going to pack your Chromebook.
So you pack your Chromebook, make sure it's charged. You're going to have your pens and pencils, your highlighters. Look at our school supply list, which is on the website, to make sure that you've bought everything and purchased it all so you're ready to go. And then you're also going to make sure that you have your lock, because that's new in middle school, is having a locker.
So let's go back a second. Would they purchase the lock from us? Would they purchase the lock outside? Like, how would that work?
Yeah, so you want to purchase a lock with us.
Okay.
There are some elementary schools that have already purchased and given the fifth graders the lock. But if you haven't, or if you lost your lock, if you're a seventh and eighth grader and you've already lost your lock from previous years, you would just purchase a lock through us for $8.
Okay.
You could do that during the summer or on the first few days of school.
Okay.
It has to be a Brooklawn issued lock.
So that we can unlock it.
Unlock it if we have to. Exactly. Okay. And so you would purchase the lock if you have it ahead of time. It makes it easier because then you can just practice the combination. I know I'm practicing with my own son who's going into sixth grade, so I completely understand. So you want to practice that lock. You want to make sure that you're comfortable with it so you're ready to use the locker. But you want to just make sure you have everything ready to go for that first day of school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carly?
Yeah, so piggybacking off of that, like Lauren said, making sure that you have a good routine, establishing that bedtime, putting that phone down, getting off that Xbox. Start thinking about, what am I going to eat for breakfast? What time do I need to get up? Making sure that Chromebook is charged, making sure you have your ID ready, which you'll get in the first couple of days of school, and then coming up with a plan for homework, because homework is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a change from elementary school to middle school. And a lot of time now, especially now, they might be doing more sports. So what is that going to look like? Are you coming home and doing your homework and then going to sports? What time is sports done? Like Lauren said, we all have children in middle school. I have 2 boys that are in middle school. And when they get home from football at 9 o'clock, they're done. They're not going to be able to do their homework. So the plan we have is that they come home, they chill for a little bit, they do their homework, have dinner, and then they go off to their sports. So just kind of making sure that you have that routine set of what you're going to do.
Is there a time during the school day, a free time, where they could do their homework?
Yeah, so in middle school, they don't necessarily have a study hall, but they do have a lunch period. And in that lunch period, you kind of do have the freedom to take some time and do some of that homework that you might have, or you're doing it later on. I will say there's not a ton of homework like it used to be when we were kids, but there is going to be homework, which is going to be different from the elementary school and much more independent stuff that you have to do. So planning that out, for the ELA classes, they do book clubs. They come up with times that they're going to be reading. So you need to think, okay, I need to read 20 pages by Friday. Here's my week. What does my week look like? Sure. Just being able to establish that routine and kind of set that plan. And don't forget to set new goals for a school year. For the incoming 6th grade, this is a great chance for you to have a clean slate.
Sure.
But even for the 7th and 8th graders, clean slate, how am I going to do this? I'm going to be ready for school. I'm going to have my stuff. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to be a good citizen and a good person in the community. And with that Chromebook, not forgetting that you have email and checking your email, because I know myself and this admin team, as well as the admin team from Central, we do send a lot of emails that give them the information that they need to know. Tomorrow.
So on the subject email, probably, because there might be some parents out there that don't realize they get an email or they have an email from elementary school.
So when they got their Chromebook from elementary school, it was established that they have their Gmail for the district. So they have their district email, they have their district Google Classrooms, they're all set up.
And there's a password that they came
up with, and just in case they don't know what the password is, the parents can log into the parent portal and it's right on the front page. But if they need any help with it, they can always shoot us an email or call the main office, who will help direct them. So they have an email, so they should get into the trend of every day during homeroom peeking on that email and seeing what is in here, because we communicate by email now. That's how the world works. So we will send more messages via email so that the kids know what's going on in school, as well as all of the kids are going to have Google Classroom, which they're familiar with from elementary school as well. So each class, math class, English class, science class, everything's going to have their own Google Classroom. When the teacher puts an assignment on the Google Classroom, they get an email. So it's good because they can see, today I'm going to have this homework for language arts, and it's in their email as a reminder. So it's a good way to
that's a good
follow through with.
Now, we don't have any of these students, but in the event that we ever did have a student that would tell their parent that they didn't have any work to do,
great question.
How would the parents know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So parents also have access to the Google Classrooms. They get the code for the Google Classroom, so they can log in themselves. They can also tell their kid, open up your Chromebook, I want to see your email, and look through. But the other thing, the best thing to do is to go right to the messenger and send an email to the teacher then, if they're really that confused on what's going on. And you can say, Johnny came home this week and didn't have homework all week. What is the procedure in your class? Which they should figure that out on back to school night.
Sure.
But, if you're a new middle school parent, or if you're somebody like me and Rich and Lauren who have multiple kids, I have 3, trying to stay on top of what everybody's doing in each of the classes is hard. So you can always send an email to the teacher and say exactly that situation. Johnny's come home all week and hasn't had any homework. What should I be expecting? I want to make sure, because especially for the 6th graders, this is a transition for them.
Sure.
And there's a lot more independent work. The 7th and 8th graders are probably set in the routine, but parents still want to watch it and monitor it.
You talked about parents before having access. Can you talk a little bit about Genesis and how parents could have access to that, and what is it?
Yeah, so Genesis is the school system that we use, the grading system and the school system that we use for the kids. So the parents can log in and they can see all of the grades for their children. They can notify the main office if they're picking up their student early, if their student is coming late, if their student is going to be absent from school. So instead of picking up the phone and calling and hitting number 2 and leaving a message, or whatever the number is, you can log in and say, Johnny's absent from school today, he has the flu. So this way it alerts us and we know, and then they're not going to get one of those, robocalls from the district saying your student is absent. So it's very easy to do, but I like it. Again, 3 kids, 2 of which are in middle school. I like it because I can log in and see, do my kids have any missing assignments?
Sure.
Some teachers will put in assignments ahead of time. So I'll know that my older son has a test on Friday, and me being a principal mom, which my son just loves, I can say to him, you have a test on Friday. You need to start studying for that test. So Genesis is a great tool to use. And then, again, you see a missing assignment on there. You see a missing homework. You see whatever, any concerns, email the teacher. Hi, I saw that Johnny has a missing assignment for science. Can you let me know what's going on with that? But also ask your kid, because they should be able to tell you.
If a parent has any problems with working Genesis, understanding how to get onto Genesis, right, like that, what can they do? What's the steps they take?
Right. So you can do a number of things. If you don't know your password, you can email TSS, and TSS, or
parent can.
Okay. They can email or call TSS, and all of that information is right on our district website.
Okay.
But they can call or email and get their password reset.
Okay.
They can also send us an email or call the main office, and we can give them the password that we have in there for them to use.
Okay.
A lot of times, we'll tell them, you may want to reset it and things like that. But this way we can help guide them through. And if they really can't get onto Genesis, I've had plenty of times where a parent calls me and I say, open up your Chromebook, and we're on the phone. And
you walk them through it.
I walk them through it, because it's a resource. Parent to parent, it's a resource.
And that's probably greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and they should be checking what their student is doing.
Rich, being a father and being an assistant principal, what do you see and what would be your recommendation for an adjustment from going to elementary school to the middle school?
Great question. And the way I'll discuss is, if you walk outside my office outside, look in my office, up top on my glass, it says the power of yet. And it's a pretty powerful word, the word yet. And just a quick story. Imagine when you were a baby, and if you fell down, all the times you fell down trying to walk, and eventually you said, forget it, I'm done, I'm not going to do it. But you didn't do that. You got up, you fell down again. You fell down a third time, a fourth time, until eventually you started walking. Middle school to me is like challenges. You're going to come across challenges of meeting new friends, having a locker, having a lunchroom, going outside, not having assigned seats in your lunchroom, which is new to most middle schoolers. Just as you had these challenges of crawling before walking, of maybe dribbling that soccer ball for the first time after having numerous mistakes, or even reciting the alphabet for the first time and finally getting it maybe numerous times later, what happened? You grew. You displayed growth. All right, so we try to teach our kids that whenever you come across a challenging encounter and you say to yourself, maybe I can't do this, we want you to put the word yet at the end of that sentence. I don't understand this yet. I'm not good at this yet. It doesn't work yet. And I don't get this yet. That one word yet, it teaches you as a middle schooler, you can learn. Learning takes time, it takes effort. Results come from hard work, and giving up is never an option. So those three letters, YET, you'll hear us state a lot. You'll see it outside my office. I think the biggest transition, being in high school for years, now being in the middle school and having children that went through the elementary school, is the transition from elementary school to middle school. And using that word yet when something challenging comes up, I think is a huge asset to you.
That's an excellent point. Power of positive thinking.
Positive thinking, growth.
Positive.
Everybody wants to grow. Yep.
That's right. Now, we have a lot of students that take the bus at Brook Lawn, correct? What, if a parent or a child has an issue on the bus, what are the proper steps? What can they do? Whether it be the bus is late, whether it be someone had a problem with them on the bus, what do they do?
Right. Good question. So first of all, some of our kids will be busers and some will be walkers. You have to make sure that you're taking the bus that's assigned to you. That's district policy for insurance reasons. You can't go on a different bus. So you want to go home with a friend, you have to go home on your assigned bus. And we do
have a bus pass for that, correct?
You have a bus pass for that. And it would be in Genesis. A few days before school starts, you'll see it. The parents can access that in the parent portal, the student portal. They can both access the bus pass and the time.
And if you're a walker, you cannot get on a bus, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if you're a walker, do you send a note to the school? How do you know if kids are walking?
So we know we have crossing guards in all different places. So we have a ton of our students are walkers from home. So they come. They can also ride their bike. We have a bike rack that they can lock up their bike. They definitely want to lock it up. We have kids that do that.
Okay.
So they want to make sure that if they're a walker, they know they've practiced maybe once or twice. I definitely would suggest to parents to walk with your students, make sure they know the path and way to go. The crossing guards will definitely help them.
Okay.
And then if they're a busser, if they have any issues at all, they would reach out. They have counselors, they have us, they can call. Now, when they get their bus pass, it's going to say, be at the bus stop at 7:30. And the recommendation is to always be there 10 minutes before.
Okay.
So that way, if the bus is running a little bit, early or even a little bit late, you're definitely there. You want to be waiting 10 minutes before the bus time to make sure. If the bus is very late, they can absolutely call transportation just to make sure they didn't, forget that stop or whatever the case may be. But any questions at all, reach out to the main office, reach out to transportation.
Okay. Now, in an earlier podcast, we talked to the elementary school and they said that sometimes they can use Thrill Share if they're late. Do you guys also take advantage of Thrill Share?
Yeah. So if a bus is significantly late, whether in the morning or in the afternoon, we would send a message out, bus through the app. Like bus 203 is running a little bit late today or bus, and so, but it would be significant. So if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, you might not get a Thrill Share. But if it's a significant...
There's an accident with on Route 10 or what have you, and there's traffic, they're going to be notified.
And let me jump in too. I know we have our buses, we have our walkers, we also have our drop-offs, which is probably a bigger portion of our students. Both schools, Central and Brook Lawn, both have an area where they have their students dropped off by their parents, siblings, friends in the morning. I know it gets frustrating sometimes. The lines get very, very long. So I think it's a good thing the first couple days of school to kind of leave a little bit earlier than you would and kind of alleviate some of that traffic.
Yes.
And realize that you're dropping off, you're saying goodbye in the car, and you're moving yourself to the next spot so someone else can get up. It moves smoothly after the first week at both schools. So just be aware the first week of drop-offs by parents in cars will be a little hectic.
But anyway, if there's a problem on the bus, let's say, for example, there's an altercation, right? Not physical, but maybe you could see something wrong. What would you recommend?
So 2 things. First of all, definitely letting us know. We've had kids who go home that day. Let's say it happens on the afternoon. They go home and they email myself or Rich or Carly or their counselor, and then we take care of it the next day right away.
Right.
I'd also suggest if it's something in the moment that's making them uncomfortable, they let their bus driver know.
Okay.
Letting their parents know for sure, but absolutely reaching out to us and letting us know, and then we'll figure it out. We usually meet with them with the counselor. We get to the bottom of it. We do a little investigation. We figure it out, and we make sure that they feel comfortable on the bus moving forward.
Okay.
Whether that is like moving their seat or whatever the case may be.
It's important to know, too, that for the students to know that the buses are cameras. Right? There's cameras. There's 2 cameras in every bus. So in the past, when we've had incidents on a bus, we're able to pull videos from the buses and find out what happened. So, you're on the bus. It's tough when you have 54 students on a bus with a bus driver. We just really enforce, the proper behavior on the bus.
Just add into that, you have to remember that the bus driver is driving and that his number one job is to get everybody there safe. So we expect all of our students to behave, and we go over that the first couple of days of school as well. But if something's going on, the bus driver will fill out an incident report, which then goes over to transportation, which comes to us. And then same thing, we're going to have conversations with these kids talking about the safety, like not interrupting the driver when he's driving and really behaving and respectful. You're trying to go from point A to point B, and that's a really responsible job to have.
Now, Carly, we talked about the transition from elementary to middle school. Lunchtime is a big it's a big change at the middle school.
Yeah.
Can you tell the parents, maybe give them some helpful hints about what's the expectation at lunchtime for their kids? What should they be preparing their children for?
Yeah, so you're talking about now, instead of your tiny little classes of kids having lunch, you're talking about approximately 250 to 300 students having lunch at the same time. So the way it works is that everybody comes into the cafeteria and they sit. Once they sit down, and there's no assigned seats, so they can sit wherever they want. And being that there's no assigned seats, so even if you sit in the same seat every single day, somebody can sit in your seat tomorrow. So just being respectful of everybody in this cafeteria. You come in and you sit down, and then you have options, right? You can buy lunch, or you can bring your lunch from home. If you're buying lunch, usually there's a teacher who's in charge, and the administrators are there as well, but there's usually a teacher in charge. That's like their duty for the day. And they will call table by table for them to get up and go and get lunch. You need to have your ID on at all times because there's a scan code in the back. And when you go up, Mr. Fonte has his too. So when you go to buy your lunch, it's very simple. You can just scan your ID or put in your 4-digit code, whatever it is, and the parents put money on the account. And then from that's where where it draws from. If you're a student on free and reduced lunch, it's going to be the same exact thing. You're going to put in your code, and it's just automatically going to be taken care of. You go back to your table, and you eat lunch. Big changes for whatever reason once it comes to middle school is reminding everybody to clean up after themselves.
Sure.
Picking up your lunch, cleaning it up. Even if you get up and, your friend left a water bottle, again, being a good citizen, grabbing that water bottle, throwing it away, not making a mess. And a lot of times I always hear Rich saying to kids, is this what you would do in your house? Would you put raisins all over the floor?
It's not fair. It's not fair to custodians. They have a job to do, but their job's not to pick up after.
Exactly. And we actually have paper towels in the back. We have a broom in the back. So if you made a spill or a mess and you told somebody, we're absolutely going to help you with it. But just being mindful of that, because everybody is trying to eat. And then hands to yourself, following that, procedure, having lunch. And then when lunchtime per se is done, going out to what recess is called.
You talked earlier about the ID.
Yeah.
And Rich,
we all have. Yeah, we all have.
So last year was the first time that we really instituted the ID for students. Can you explain why we did this and the importance of this and why, we have to have this done?
Yeah, so Brooklyn, this is actually year 5 for IDs for Brooklyn. We kind of piloted it for the middle school population. But this ID is important because number one, and again, I'm just going to speak to Brooklyn, but all the schools have the same procedures. So Brooklyn's staff all have a black lanyard. Brooklyn's students all have a gold lanyard. Any sub in the building has a blue lanyard, and then all custodians are in green. So when somebody is walking down the hallway, as somebody is approaching them, you immediately know who they are in the building. If it's blue, you know it's a sub. If it's a black lanyard that says Brooklawn and they're issued by the school, you know it's a staff member. So let's say you needed help, you know that that's a teacher coming or some kind of staff member that you can speak to. If it's somebody coming down the hallway with a gold lanyard, as an adult, I know immediately, especially the beginning of the school year, getting to know our new kids, I know that that's a student. But that's also important if you come to the building. If you come to the building and you're walking down the hallway, you know somebody with a gold lanyard is a student, somebody with a black lanyard is a staff member. So what happens with the IDs is that when you have your ID, let's say you're going to go to the bathroom, you tell the teacher says, yes, you can go to the bathroom, you leave you leave the classroom, you go to the bathroom, and you scan into the bathroom. Then you do your business, you come out, you scan out. So there's a record now of every place they go, whether it's CST, guidance, nurse, main office, cafeteria, media center, bathroom. Even when they're tardy to school or when they're leaving early, they scan in and out. And this is a good paper trail of where everybody.
Especially if we were going to have a drill.
Absolutely, not a drill, and God forbid an emergency. If I always explain it like this to the students: if I had to call a lockdown right this moment, if I call a lockdown, the three of us can look on our phones. It's hooked to Genesis. And we can see that there's 2 boys scanned into the upper boys' bathroom. There's 2 girls scanned in down there. There's 3 kids in the nurse's office, and it helps us for accountability of where everybody is at all times. It's also great for parents to be able to, because parents can see this on their end. When a teacher, maybe they're communicating back and forth, students getting a low grade in the class or just struggling. And the teacher says, students going to the bathroom every day, and the kid says, I'm not going to the bathroom. The parent can log in and see every single day in math class they're going to the bathroom. So what's going on? That might be something that now we need to get the counselor involved. Are they getting anxious in math? Are they struggling and they're upset? So the ID is a great...
it's a great tool.
It's a great tool, and there is not one place you have to go today that you don't need an ID. So it's kind of teaching them for the world as well. No matter where you go, just to get into this building, I had to swim.
Security is paramount.
So the ID is important, and we tell everybody, you have to have an ID. They forget them sometimes, right? They're kids, we're adults, we forget them. So if they forget them, they can go down to the main office and get a temporary sticker. They can do that 3 times. On the 4th time, they're going to get a detention for forgetting it. Because again, we're trying to teach routine and practice and
accountability.
And guess what? We lose them and break them. My own son, I think, broke his ID and lanyard about 4 times last year. You can buy new ones at the main office. We'll order you one and give you a sticker temporarily, which won't count against anything until your new ID comes in. But we expect everybody to have this on at all times. And as Lauren said, like I have a clip on mine. I clip mine to my backpack when I'm leaving so that I always have it with me.
Excellent.
I think one thing to point on, too, we talked about cafeteria. A couple of questions that come across us all the time throughout the years. I have no money in my account.
Oh, good.
I can't have lunch. And then we get a call home from, call back at school from mom or dad saying, well, my son or daughter hasn't eaten lunch today. The rule for the district is if you don't have money on your account, we will still provide you with lunch. You will just be charged for that lunch and make it up later when the money comes in. Sometimes you deposit money in your account, it doesn't show up for a day or 2. We're not going to ever
going without.
Exactly. No one's never going to have lunch. So that's a good option.
And they can bring cash.
They can also bring cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up because we do get that phone call every once in a while. And, again, we're all parents and we all live, have crazy lives, and you forget to give your kid money. So don't worry. No one is ever going to be denied having lunch.
Okay. Now, Lauren, people don't know that you were a former counselor.
I was.
And as a former counselor, if a student goes into middle school, 6th grade, and, school's progressing, it's the 2nd, 3rd week, they're struggling, their parents are concerned, what's the recommendation?
Right. Good question.
What do you do?
Yeah. So as a parent, right, you want to definitely reach out to the counselor for any reason. That's as a former counselor for 13 years, that's what I did, right? All the time. Right. Parent would reach out to me. A counselor doesn't have to say, Mom reached out to me, right? So we'll check in with the child. Yeah. Counselors are always checking in with the kids, but if we don't know about a certain situation, we can't always help, right? Yeah. So definitely reaching out to the counselor saying, this is what I heard is going on. Can you just check in with him or her and make sure they're okay? And then the counselor will. And then usually what happens is that the counselor doesn't just check in one time. They check in continually. Sure. And then, they make sure that they're there to help guide them and make good decisions and build friendships. And just like if they don't have any friends, if you're noticing they come home and they don't talk about any other kids or they're having...
What could they do? Yeah, what could they do? They would talk to the counselor and the counselor puts them in maybe some social groups.
Yes, because each middle school runs some social groups, sometimes different topics, right? But definitely doing that. They can also help to, they would get to know the child. And then as a counselor, you say, oh, I think maybe, it'd be great to sit at table 2 at lunch today. And they introduce you to each other. So yes, they run groups at lunch, but they also, can help to introduce them to other kids.
And if they're struggling in the classroom with their schoolwork, what's the recommendation for parents at that point?
So, okay, first...
The proper steps, I believe.
The proper steps, yeah. So at the middle school, both middle schools have teaming, which is wonderful. So the counselors meet with each team weekly to kind of discuss the kids and get a little idea of how they're doing, right?
For those that don't know about teaming, It's a group of kids that are put together, correct?
Yes, it's a group of kids that are put together. So, for example, there's teams 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, 7-1, 7-2, 7-3, 8-1, 8-2, 8-3.
And each grade level has 3 teams.
Each grade level has 3 teams. Doesn't mean if you're on 6-1 that you're going to be on 7-1 and 8-1. It's kind of mixed up every year.
1, 2, 3 means nothing.
1, 2, 3 means really nothing, except for the fact that you probably have the same core, 4 subject area teachers.
And if they're struggling,
then what happens is the counselor first might know already, and then they can kind of intervene because they meet with the teachers weekly to discuss. And if not, the parent can say, oh, they have a C in science class, and reach out to the counselor. And we also say reach out to the teacher always. So even if you want to reach out to the teacher and copy the counselor, I always say that's great because then you're keeping everybody in the loop. Making sure that you're just, you're building your team there, right? So if you reach out to the teacher first as a parent, if there's a concern in a class, we always say reach out to the teacher because they're in the room with the child and they know. But then also too, the counselor is there to help and initiate and help with conversations and making sure that your child is doing the work. If they're missing work, that the counselor will help you to
So if there's a question, they're going to give the counselor.
Absolutely. Okay. Counselor call, teacher call, put both of them on the email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rich, being a former athletic director now, also being an assistant principal, sports is something that every child that's going into the middle school will have an opportunity to participate in.
Right.
What is it that you would recommend, and what is the process?
Okay, let me talk about 2. We have our sports and we have our clubs. Right now at Brooklawn, we offer, I want to say, 12 different athletic choices for our students in the fall, the winter, and the springtime. There is a sport, and there is a club for everyone. If you are interested in playing a fall sport, which would be boys or girls soccer, cross country, and field hockey, the best idea now would be try to get all your physical information turned in as quickly as possible to our nurse.
If they don't get their physical information,
it doesn't inhibit you from participating. It just delays the process a little bit. Clubs, we have, I want to say, close to 40 or 50 clubs, and I was thinking about this earlier. If you come to middle school and you leave by your 8th grader and you say there was nothing for me, that's a shame on you because there's a lot of things we offer, and every day someone will come up to me in a cafeteria in a hallway and say, Mr. Fonte, I want to start this club. I want to start a Dungeons and Dragons club. I want to start a chess club. And we find an advisor, and we start the club. Some clubs are huge. Some have 4 or 5 students in them. But anything you want to do, we will find some place for you. So it's important to kind of embrace who you are. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid of who you are. Come and tell us what you like to do, and we'll find some place to put you. So we have athletics. We have clubs. And when you leave an 8th grade year, do as much as you can. Have a great time. Be involved. Talk to your friends. Play sports you've never tried before. There's a lot of things out there. Some sports have limited enrollments based on the size of the team and the amount of space we have. But I know our cross-country teams, our teams have unlimited amounts of people who can come out and participate. So there's something for everyone.
And
that is central.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, if you go on the Brooklawn website right now, we're set up for September, you can actually see the list of clubs that's there. It actually says when they met last year, but you can see all the list of clubs as well as like a little promo video. So anybody new coming to Brooklawn, whether it's an incoming 6th grader or a new student, can take a look at what we have. And anybody who's been there for a while should take a look too, because you might find something else that you're interested in.
I tell you guys have been extremely informative. And I would say, this is a great crew. Really, I always enjoy going to Brooklawn. They get along very well. The staff there is excellent. when you go to Brooklawn, you feel at home. You can see the warmth. You walk into the office and you got music playing, and most of the time it's the music that I like. They do a great job with it.
I give Rich lots of dollars.
DJ Rich.
The old music.
But you know what? It's nice. It's a nice, warm environment. It's a friendly environment. It's a good place to be. For those of you that are entering Brooklawn, I think you'll find that it's really a wonderful experience. For those that left, I know they tell me that they're sad that they're leaving Brooklawn because it was just such a warm environment. You know, I don't have much else because you guys have been, you know, great entertainers, and you guys have also been excellent at explaining what the process is going to be. Do you have any final words that you want to say?
Just that we're really excited for the school year to get started. The summer always flies by, but this
Sure.
one particularly, I think we have like 3 weeks left or
Yeah.
something. So,
Yeah.
you know, as much as it's always nice to have summer, we're super excited
Yeah.
to get it started. And we always want everybody to be a great night at Brooklyn. So we're...
And celebrate yourself. Come down and tell us things you've done.
Yeah.
In the summer, things, successes you've had in sports, school, you have a new sibling, or, you know, whatever may have happened, come and tell us. We like to hear about it, and we like to celebrate with you.
That's right. Back to school night's important. Get there early because parking's tough. I'm going to tell you that right now. Last year, you know, it was crowded. I mean, so I would say to you, get to Brooklyn early for back to school night. Listen to what the teachers have to say. It's not really a time for a conference. It's a time to listen and get the feel of Brooklawn. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. And if you have any questions or concerns, you reach out to one of these individuals. They will get back to you.
Absolutely.